Okay, so welcome. I'm just going to turn off the recording until we begin. See you soon. Welcome. I'm going to get started on time. Those who join in progress will interrupt us, but I'd like to begin and end on time. So let me just do one thing. Alarm in 45 minutes. I turned on. Okay, so that's for our bio break. So those watching by recording, you get a bio break in 45 minutes. So this is the first meeting of the discussion and practice skills lab for the soul call cards, which are, in case this is the guidebook that comes with the cards. In case you're new to the cards, perhaps you're watching and you don't yet have your deck of cards, and they come in a little box that looks a little cleaner and newer than this is my box. And you get 108 cards in the deck. Okay, so I think most of the people who come to this particular call will at least have some familiarity with or have your own deck. So what I'd like to do, since this is our very first practice skills lab, I'm going to introduce the cards as if you weren't expert at them already. So if you want a little review of how the cards work, stay tuned. Otherwise, I'll let you know when the review ends and the play begins. I assume people will join me. If they don't, I'll just play with myself, literally, and with you watching at home. So how do we use the cards? Well, you start where you are, right? You don't have to be a psychic to use the cards. You don't have to memorize all kinds of esoteric teachings. The cards will meet you right where you are at whatever level of intuitive practice you already have. And what's great about the cards is each one has one word, and you all know what words mean. And so the way the cards work is they read the room. That's the way I like to explain it. You're the center of the reading, and if you're reading for someone else, then they are the center of the reading. But the cards will constellate around both of you, the client, if you will, or your friend or your partner, and you become a constellating sort of center for the reading. And so what you'll discover if you're reading for yourself, things will become part of the reading that aren't just the cards. So you'll do the simple layout, which I'm about to show you, and maybe something will happen outside. Maybe someone will say something on the TV show that your kids are watching in the other room, and all of that can also be folded into the reading. So they're a lot of fun. They read the constellation around you. They're, for me, they're like little reminders that when you ask a question, the answer begins to constellate around you, the one who's asking the question. So that's sort of how the cards work. So I'm just going to go through quickly, point by point. The cards will help you. And all of this is on page 8 in the guidebook, but I'm reviewing. So the cards will literally coach you. In the beginning, as you get to know the cards, they might like send you little messages about themselves. So don't be surprised by that. You might be doing a reading with a question and the cards are saying, they give you like little teaser prompts, like maybe you'll have a sense from the cards themselves that you need another card. Or all kinds of things can happen. I'll let them teach you. Just think of them as a wise and loving friend, right? Because that's what they will become. Also, always read the cards in light. And what I mean by that is the cards will never suggest that you do anything to hurt another person or yourself. And they will never tell you like something bad is going to happen. They will always talk about what's actually happening in your life, lay out the pattern so you can see it. And if you choose to change it, you can change it. That's the way the cards work with the future. And they may point out things from the past. Read them as if those things were entering into the future, into the present. So what I mean is time, think of time this way. I'm in the present moment. My past is behind me. My future is ahead of me, but I'm always in the present moment. So though the cards may refer to something from the past or something you're thinking about, planning, dreaming about happening in the future, they're reading it from the present moment. And they're really designed to help you get where you want to go, heal what you want to heal from the past. Okay. There's no right way to read the cards. There's no formula. Even though I do give you layouts in the guidebook, make your own layouts. Several of our longtime readers who've been reading the cards for now 3 years, 4 years, ever since they came out, have developed their own spreads, and they teach me, right? So that if you do something like that in the future of your relationship with the cards, by all means, tell me about it. I love hearing about that, and maybe I'll even feature it in the new workbook that's coming up for the cards. So, as I said, there's only one rule, right? So first I said there's no right way, no rules, do it your way, read the cards your way, interpret the cards your way. But I am going to say there is one rule. Read the cards in light. And I'm going to read you what it says. And I'm repeating this, yes, because I think it's the most important thing. Like all things in the created world, the soul-called cards carry aspects of shadow and light. That said, they are designed to be read in their light aspect. This doesn't mean you should not ask difficult questions about challenging things. It means that even when you're asking about a negative or troubling situation, the cards are constellating around the intention in present time of healing and making whole. Their intention, and by the way, the cards' intention when they were formed is pure, clear, and clean because they were formed through the guidance of the angels. They came to me through a process of intuitive listening, attentive, intuitive listening. It's the same process that you'll use to work with the cards and with your own angels, your own guides, if they decide to help you. And often they do, they like the cards. The cards will never guide you to harm anyone or anything, including yourself. The cards don't know the future. They're pattern, not prediction. They read the tendencies, as I said before, and they point out opportunities that are open right now. These openings are invitations, right? So when something happens that feels like, oh, I could go this way or that way, that's an invitation to you. That's an invitation from the pattern, which is the pattern. What I mean by patterns is things usually happen a certain way, and we have certain habitual responses to the world and to our own experiences. When something seems to open a new opening in a pattern, that's the pattern itself shifting, even ever so slightly. And that happens when you ask for help, when you ask for change, when you do the healing work on your own history. Okay. The cards will not tell you what to do, like the angels who inspired them, because you have free will, which means that you are always free to choose toward love or toward fear, toward light or toward shadow. It's up to you. Right? The cards and the angels don't have a preference. for what you should do, how you will learn, how you will move along your way, right? Um, they want you to make choices. They will suggest things. They will help you. They will offer guidance. Right? I'm always reminded when I say that of that scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz who stands there pointing in every direction. He says, that way is a very nice way. Some people do go both ways. So that's kind of the way the angels um, guide us. They show us the pattern. They give a suggestion. And the way you may feel that suggestion may be through some sort of inkling or a little nudge inside of yourself, a little intuitive knowing, I think I'll go this way. It feels lighter. Always go in the direction that feels lighter and move away from things that feel heavier. That's a great beginning guidance lesson. All right, so let's begin. How do you work with the soul card? You choose, let's just do a 3-card reading, okay? So let's do this together. Though there's no one way to draw the cards, and you can do all kinds of things like, so here are my cards. You can shuffle them straight up like regular cards. They're kind of small, but they work, they shuffle. Or you can, like, I sometimes lay them all out on the floor or on a surface, rub them all around, and then I just wait and I feel around inside myself which one feels like it wants to help me. But first, before I can do that, I have to have a question. So what I'd like you to do now is just pick a question. What question did you carry with you toward this demonstration? If you don't have a question, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, allow your body to settle and just allow a question or an image or a thought to drift into your awareness. Gee, I wonder about this, or I'm feeling a little tight in this part of my life, my body, my relationships. What would I like to know? What seems to be opening in my life? What would I like to know about that? Sometimes you feel that you sense an opening and you're not sure it is an opening. You might want to ask about that. So let the question drift to you. If you still don't have a question, just allow the question to be, please give me a general reading about what's constellating around me. That's always a great question. And then use one of the many ways of choosing your cards. My favorite way is to shuffle the cards in my hands because they fit right in your hands. And I just keep moving them like this until 1 or 2 cards just jump out, and they literally jump into your hand. Like, see that? So that's my first card, Flow, which is a wonderful card for me. So I'll tell you, I'm writing a series of books called the Flow Journals. And so that's a wonderful general reading for me. Also, I'm teaching you how to flow with the soul call card. So that's my first card. What's yours? Lay it down. And I'll show you the way the layout works. It's also, this 3-card layout is on page, simple 3-card spread. You see a picture of it, page 14. The first card goes here. Second card right next to it. The third card comes underneath to support the other 2. So essentially we're learning with the 3-card spread, the first kind of principle that the cards work with. 1 and 2 go into a kind of dynamic tension with each other, right? So I'll show you what I mean by that. I'll let another card volunteer. There it is. I don't know if you saw that. but it jumped into my hand and I pushed it back. Anyway, fall. So flow and fall. So I have these two next to each other. Flow, fall. You put them in the order they came out, but sometimes you'll just intuitively know because it's words, right? So we know how words work. Fall, flow, right? So it might be like waterfall, right? The flow of light pouring from above, right? Yeah. It also might be talking to me about a concern that I have. By the way, it might be both, and it often is. So remember, the cards can be read in shadow or light. Always read them in light. So someone might say, well, in shadow, this is saying the flow project is fall. It's going to fall. It's not going to work. You're going to fall from grace, right? I'm not going to read it that way. I'm going to read it as a conversation between flow, movement, grace, right? That descending life force, okay? That animating flow from above, and the descent. So I'm going to read it as a conversation between movement and descent. Okay, something is moving downward into my life or into my body or into my general energy field, because that's what I asked about. And here's my third volunteer. It jumped right out. Break. So now we're going to sort of hold that one in position 3. So it's supporting the other 2. So I have flow and fall and break in this third position, supporting like a pillar underneath. So take a break. Does that feel right? Maybe I need a break from the work I'm doing on the flow. Maybe something will break my fall, right? Maybe let's think about this together. Flow, fall. So the flow documents are falling. They're just pure guidance right now. It's just coming right in. I think these cards are telling me take a little break and breathe. You don't have to work so hard. But let's see, maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. Maybe I need to draw another card so I have more information. Again, same technique because it's my favorite. Which card feels like it? Do you see that one? Did you see it, volunteer? Hunger. So now when I add that fourth card, I end up with 2 columns. I end up with flow, and break moves underneath flow. Fall is on the opposite side, and hunger moves under that. So what do I have now? I have a reading that is putting the descent of the guidance into dynamic tension a little farther apart, and a break in hunger. So it's telling me now we get to look at this other thing that happened. So now this is a full 9 square reading. So right now we have this position full, and this one, and this one. So what I have is the question, right? The question, general reading, flow. The invitation, fall, let it fall in, let it descend in. Now I'm in this 9 square constellation. I want to go back and say, I hope that's clear. What I did was I expanded a 3-card reading, which gave me a little bit of information, but not enough. I wanted a little more depth. I expanded it into 4 cards, not a full reading yet, just 4 cards. And so that immediately moves position 3 over here to make room for position 4 over here, right? So I have flow, break, fall, hunger. This starts to make a little more sense to me. So I have, as I said, the question, what's a general reading, what's happening around me, this descent of wisdom, right? this flow. It's coming in. It's the invitation is position 2. The invitation is the fall. It's inviting me to allow it in, let it in. See how much more clear that is once I get it on this map, on this 9 square map? Okay. And then the position 3, which was break, is the support for the flow. So then I get a kind of a nod. Yeah, this is the support. It supports the situation, right? Position 1 is what's the question? What's the general ask here? And you could also say it's the questioner, right? So what supports the questioner? What supports the situation? Break. I need a break. I'm working too hard. Or maybe it means something else. If I put break in a line sort of across from hunger, they are in dynamic tension also. So now I have position 4. The book will explain to you that's the position of the irritant. That's what is bothering me, right? Something's bothering me. I'm hungry. I want to finish the project. I want to more people to get to play with it, right? I want to show it to everyone. I'm hungry for connection, right? I'm hungry also for the grace that's descending. I'm hungry for that invitation that's been here so long. It's time to let it in, right? And this reading is telling me something else, which is a more personal part of the reading, which is, so I've been playing around with the keto diet. So this is also about that. The flow of energy is coming in, right? It's descending. I have a ton more energy on the keto diet. There's a break in my hunger. I'm not hungry anymore. I was hungry all the time. I'm no longer hungry. So, by the way, see how the cards are just telling me what I already know? That also happens in a so-called card reading. And then something happens when the cards all start to work together, where you receive some sort of recognition of, oh, I see. Oh, I see what's happening, what I'm working on. So because no one's here, it's just me, let's go ahead and make this into a 9 square reading and see what comes up. Okay, so the next card I'm going to pull, number 5, is the foundation card. What's at the bottom of this situation? Also, what's supporting the break flow? You could also say, when there's a break in the flow, I get hungry, I panic, I fall apart sometimes when there's a break in the flow. It scares me. So that's also part of, like, I feel like not as often as I used to, pretty much not anymore at all, but I can feel abandoned by guidance, just like anyone else. Like I'm trying so hard and I'm pushing so hard and I'm doing my work. I'm showing up and no one's showing up the other way. That really doesn't happen much. more often, I'm the one who's not showing up. I'm the one who breaks the connection. Guidance is always there. So that's also part of my pattern that always comes up. My 5th card is my best friend, Envy. Envy is a really interesting card. So when I say it's my best friend, it is my greatest teacher. If envy is at the foundation of my sense of a break in the flow, when I look outside myself and my own relationship with grace, I see other people and what they seem to be able to do, what they seem to be able to accomplish. The reading is telling me very clearly, envy breaks your connection to the flow. So if you're playing along and tracking the reading that I'm doing, we now have envy in the foundation position under break flow. So envy breaks the flow. So clear, right? It's just words. It makes a sentence, literally. And then we want to find what this card is. This is the 6th card, and we'll see what this sentence or image that comes through this reading might be. This time I'm going to read the cards in a different way. I'm just going to cut them. That's the card, trust. So isn't it interesting? I now have this downline on the opposite side. I have fall, hunger, trust. And this is the emergence card. So I'll say again, the irritant, which is essentially what made you ask the question, right? What brings you here? What's bothering you? That's what this card tells you. Hunger for flow, hunger for connection with this light, this descent, right? But envy breaks the flow for me. Looking outside at what other people are doing and wishing I could do it like that or do it that well, or, even wishing I could get money for it. Like some people get paid a lot for doing the work I do, more than I do. So there's, it can go into any part of your story. So just keep noticing what part of your story is it actually going in, right? Okay, so I have envy breaks the flow, and now I have in the emergence, which is essentially under the invitation, we have the irritant, which is also really the invitation. Like, this bothers me so much that I'm going to take some action now. I'm so irritated that I have to scratch the itch. That's the idea of what the irritant card is, right? And it's in dynamic tension with the support. And so often the cards in position 4 and 3 are like, this bothers me. Well, I'm trying to help you, right? So it's like 3 becomes support, and irritant is like, I don't see you supporting me, so I'm irritated. So that these two can have that kind of dance going on. And then here with emergence, we have sort of like, what's the outcome? What's possible here? What's the pattern? Let me say it another way. What am I learning from this constellation around me, right? So in this sense, in this situation, the emergence, what's possible, what's offering itself to me, you could say emergence is also the gift, is trust. I'm learning to trust. What am I learning to trust? That my hunger for connection to flow will, if I let the flow in, my hunger will result in trust. Trust it will be there for me, right? I don't need to look outside and see how other people are doing things. I can let the flow my way, right? So let's find out now. The 7th card in every 9 square is the heart of the matter. And often I get envy there. So let's see what comes up here this time. And I'll do that my favorite way. Again, let's see who we got a huge amount of volunteer. Oh, you know what happened? I wish I could show you this. I'm actually going to show you this. While I was busy doing this, there was already a volunteer. I want you to see this. Look over here on my notebook. See it? It just fell out. I didn't even know. Create. I love that for the heart of the reading. What do I do with these other volunteers? Well, I'll show you in a minute. Create. That goes at the heart of the reading. And you know what? If you can imagine now, across the center line, we have break, right? We have create, and we have hunger. So when you look outside yourself, I'm just reading and reviewing you the whole wisdom so far of the reading. When I look outside myself for connection to the flow, I break the connection. Envy breaks the connection to flow. What creates the connection to flow? Trust. So now notice the dynamic energy that just came into the reading. What creates connection to the flow? Trust. Trust is here. Create is here. What I want is flow. Trust. There's also another dynamic that just came in. What creates envy? What create is here. What creates envy? A sense of fall from grace, a sense that I've lost my connection. Right? The break, also it's saying the break in my connection to flow creates my hunger. So simple, so clear, right? It couldn't be more clear. We don't need to go on and on about that. More dynamic relationships will occur as we put in the last two parts of the reading. And those are the positions of the upper bridge up here, which draws the energy of the heart card upward. It's an ascending, right? An ascending, an invitation upward, right? So what invites creativity? What maybe blocks creativity? That card may be there also. It's calling your attention to what is separating flow and fall, right? It's calling the heart's attention to what seems to separate the question from the answer, really. Okay, so let's get another. Oh, I just accidentally picked up all those volunteers. We already have those. Let's see, does it make sense to read with these? We have 4 of them. Yeah, let's use them and I'll show you a little trick that I like to do. So they fell out like a little pile. You saw it happen. So I'm just going to read from the top. Wall. There's a wall. There's a wall between the flow and the willingness to allow the descending of that energy, the flow to, there's a wall that's blocking me from from allowing the flow to descend into my body, to feed my hunger. There's a lack of trust, right? That it will be there, that I'm worthy of it. So I have this wall there. So right away, if I were working with a client, my first thought would be create a wall, right? And flow across it. How can we use that structure that's there to support, right? To draw the creativity up, build a boundary around the work, for example. Trust that it's solid, trust that it's held. This flow seems like it's coming from everywhere and it may feel chaotic. Trust that it's held inside of a descending impulse that's, and literally, I can tell you this because I understand the spiritual science of it. My hunger calls the flow, and your hunger for connection with the divine light calls it in, right? So why would we call in flow and then block it? Trauma, right? History, something hurt us. We feel too small or unworthy, right? We feel like we're too old, it's too late, we're too young, we don't have enough experience. All the not enoughness that we carry around inside of ourselves makes these blockages, these sort of embedded trauma where literally energy doesn't move. A wall in the flow of energy, there's a wall, there's a break, there's a block in my ability to allow the flow to descend. That's what this is saying. And I know that I created that wall to protect myself when I was little, when something hurt or humiliated me, when I was hungry for that connection and it came and something showed up and broke my connection with that and left me feeling cut off from it, so that now I don't necessarily trust that I can create and hold that connection in a safe way. Does that resonate for you? It certainly feels true for me. That's what all my work is designed around, right? Like it's literally describing all my work, this reading, where it comes from in my own story, and how healing works, how the healing work that I do works. So here we are. It's just all out there. Like there's no way to hide. Like if I'm going to do a reading for you about my own story, there's no way for me to hide and pretend that this isn't real, right? The cards tell the truth in the gentlest, sweetest way. See, the cards didn't tell me you're broken. That's not what break means, right? The cards didn't tell me your hunger and envy, they're going to ruin everything. Too bad. Better luck next time. No, they're saying create trust. We have to rebuild trust, right? We have to know that the wall was put there to protect you from a fall that you once felt, a break in the flow that caused you to feel outside the wall where everyone else gets to flow. Now it's about rebuilding the wall, rebuilding trust. Okay, and then the last card in the 9 square is island. So that wall, right? The wall protected you, protected me, the one we're reading for, from feeling that humiliation again, or feeling that fall from grace again. But it also isolated me, you, depends if you're relating to this reading, of course. So the wall creates the island. The island, feeling alone, creates this feeling of wanting to protect yourself, right? So what do we have here now? Actually, I'm going to show you what the reading looks like. Let me see, I'll take a picture of it. And then I'll hold see if this works. I haven't tried this before. So I'll take a picture of what I'm looking at. Okay. There we go. And then I'll show you that picture. If I have to turn it, give me 1 second. Turn it, flip, flip, flip. Okay, done. So there we go. You should be able to see that. Can you see that? Yes, that's the reading I'm looking at. Okay. I know it looks backwards, but flow, wall, fall. And I have over here, what? Break, create, hunger, envy, island, trust. Just so you can really see the reading that I just did, in case you want to write it down or take a screenshot as we work together. Okay, so remember, we still have 2 cards because we had some extra volunteers. So this is where the readings let you build on them and let you make them your own. So we have this basic 9 square, the positions. I've named all the positions. I've talked to you about the dynamic flow between the cards. Oh, I didn't tell you one thing, which I think I want to tell you. Notice that the card at the upper bridge and the card in the lower bridge, and these 2 end cards make a diamond. So upper bridge, so we go from, let's see, I'll just point here to here to here to here. So you get a diamond shape. And the 4 corners of the reading, which is here, 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 and here, that's the square. And I describe them in the guidebook in more detail, but I'll just say allow these shapes to emerge before you. Like, for example, here's one that I use a lot. This to this to this. It's a triangle. And then this to this to this is another triangle, because the heart of the reading is the feminine triangle and the masculine mountain shape crossing each other at the heart, because the basic shape of this 9 square reading is the Star of David, which represents symbolically the union of masculine and feminine, the descent of the light into, the descent of the light into the container of the feminine, right? So this is the container of the feminine, this is the masculine, right? Okay. So those shapes also will begin to vibrate as you're reading, and you'll see, for example, that the sense of being alone breaks my flow and makes me put a wall around my heart and creates hunger and cuts me off from the ability to create trust in the flow. So that wall is, you're literally looking at the way the wall works in the layout of the reading. Doesn't always happen like this, but this one's very clear. The feeling of being alone, island, creates a break in my ability to create flow, to connect to flow with a sense of trust. That creates a wall around. So this wall we're building is around the heart card, creativity, my ability to make connection, to do what I do best, right? Which results in hunger. You can also read it from any of those 4 positions in the diamond. You could say the wall of hunger, all I can see is my hunger, makes me feel alone, right? Which breaks my connection to the flow and leaves me feeling envy, right? You can play with it. They're all moving. That's what I mean when I say the cards are moving. So the next card, and I'll just tell you what I do with them, is in order that they fell out of the deck, that the order in which they volunteered. I try it that way. If it doesn't work, I'll move them, okay? Because this is a story that's already telling itself very clearly. So I'm going to put this house card either at the top above wall or at the bottom under island. So I could say, this is the house that I live in. This is the pattern that supports the house that I live in, right? And I could say the second card could go above or below mist. Mist. I don't know, right? When I'm doing it, I'm not aware I'm doing it. That could mean that. It could also mean the wall is just an illusion. It's made of mist. So I'm going to put mist up there, because mist feels more like an upper bridge kind of card with this particular reading. Mist. I don't understand the wall. I don't see the wall. I just feel this sense of break in the flow. So my fear of being hurt again, of falling again, keeps things fuzzy. I can't see the truth, which is that there's a wall around my heart. I also can't see the truth that this wall is a boundary that I put up to protect me out of love. It's a house of love. I really want that to be clear to you. Even though it makes me feel alone sometimes and separate, I know that my younger self was taking care of me. She didn't want me to get hurt again. So she built this very solid house on an island. She created, that's the center card, this lonely house behind a wall that protected me. So I could end there. we could take a pee break if anyone was here. Okay, but I don't need one. So if you need one, just stop the tape. I'm almost done. And I'll just say that this was a big reading. This has 9 cards plus 2 extras, right? But I still want 2 more. And because I want you to know where they go. When you do a big reading, when you expand a reading like this, you make an exterior diamond. So I put mist at the top of the mountain, and I put house at the bottom of the yin form, right? The yoni form, which is the container triangle in the reading, in the Star of David, right? So house is at the point in the bottom, mist is at the point of the mountain, the masculine at the top. That also speaks to me from the sense of masculine at the top. I can't quite see the order and the structure of things. Feminine at the bottom, built a house, right? To protect, to take care of. This is a really powerful reading. And then I go to the 2 exterior points. I'm going to put a card to the left of break and to the right of hunger. So I'll have another diamond holding the whole reading. Sacred break. Sacred. Right next to break. Now I have a house of sacred mist. Or I have a sense of I can't quite see the sacred. The break from the sacred is, they're right next to each other. Sacred and break are right next to each other. But I have this house of sacred mist. Feels interesting to me. That's the, oh, volunteer number 2, boundary. Okay, that's very clear. That's a very clear reading. This house of sacred mist is a boundary created to protect me, with a wall around my connection to flow, in case that connection to flow made me do things that were a little too visible, a little too risky when I was little. So an example of this, so that you have a very concrete picture of this, is I was a little mystic, and I would pop out with wisdom at the dinner table, and my father would say, "What do you know, a doctor?" Or he would say, "What do you know? You're just 8 years old," or other things like that. He didn't mean to humiliate me, but I was flowing all this guidance, all this wisdom. I thought I was like, vibrating on fire with divine truth at age 8, at age 13. It happened over and over. That's just one example of how that can happen. Or, it might happen for you. Like, I have many clients who tell stories about going to Catholic school or shul, or some sort of education where you're required to follow a certain set of dogma, a certain set of rules prescribed by a certain dogma, whether it's the church or your yeshiva, or whether it's the patriarchy, right? We're all inside of these boundaries, these rules. And so I have many, actually I can think of 2 right now, clients who tell me that they were the one who would challenge the nuns or speak up in school, right in the auditorium, and get detention or get their knuckles rapped with a ruler. But if you're that little upstart who was channeling grace, or being like, "I see the truth here, don't you see it?" And then you got humiliated for that, that's a wound that you'll carry forward, most likely, and you'll have a pattern like this. Anyway, so that's the introduction to the soul call cards. And it's funny that I got a chance, because nobody came to the first call. I got a chance to, there are no accidents, right? Everything is flowing flow, moving through, creating trust, right? I trust that this is what was supposed to happen, and enjoy the video. I won't talk on and on. If you have questions, by all means, let me know. You can ask them in the Facebook group, email me, send me a private message. However you need to get your question to me as part of this group, I am here for you, right? So thank you for supporting the work. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. And we'll do another reading and another kind of lesson next time. And maybe people will come, maybe not. Maybe this will become just an educational series where I show up alone. I'm just going to trust the flow. I'll see you next time.